Good morning and a happy Tuesday to you. Welcome to the North Shore Drive podcast. I'm Jason Mackey alongside Ray Fittipaldo for our special, it's really special game week edition of this show. I'm excited for it, Ray. Jets on Saturday. You wrote about that for Monday's paper. Aaron Rodgers, a premium matchup. The NFL loves this thing. We'll talk about Rodgers. We'll talk about Justin Fields as well as Jaylen Warren's new deal. Some Steelers quarterback possibilities in college football. Was an interesting weekend there, and some superlative style stuff if we can get into that as well. Before we dive in, I have a message from our friends with Pella Windows and Doors of Pittsburgh. There's no better place to get new windows or doors installed in your home than Pella, who can help you save on energy costs year-round. Schedule a free in-home consultation with your local Pella Windows and Doors to find the right product for your home and budget. Give them a call at 866-593-1560 to discuss your project further. That's 866-593-1560 to get started planning on your new windows and doors installation with Pella Windows and Doors of Pittsburgh. All right, Ray, let's do the news first. Jaylen Warren has a new deal. It caught me off guard. I don't know. You're a lot closer to it than I am. Did it catch you off guard? And what do you think about it? What's your first reaction?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, but not because it's not that I don't think Jaylen Warren is deserving. I think he is. It's just the way that the NFL treats running backs nowadays, that when you draft a guy like Kaleb Johnson, I think everyone thought, okay, Kaleb is going to be the guy going forward, and they're going to pay Jaylen Warren his RFA tender of $5 million, and he's likely to move on in free agency. But the more I think about this, Jason, the more it makes sense for me. They got it done for 3 years, around $17 million. So it's really like a slight raise over the RFA tender.
Yeah.
And by the time that contract is up, you wouldn't have any worries. Let's see if he's a third down back who's a really quality guy who's a good teammate and is going to be good for you on third downs. That's okay. $6 million a year is okay to fulfill that role. For now, yeah, he is RB1, and they're treating him that way. But I think this contract, the way it's structured, makes total sense. And the other thing, Jason, is they're in the quarterback sweepstakes for the next year or two. Whether they get one in 26 or 27, they're going to need those draft picks.
Yeah.
And when I know he wasn't drafted, but when you draft and develop guys, or you acquire and develop guys, and you sign them to second contracts, that's one less draft pick that you would have to use on a running back next year if you did let Jaylen Warren go. So, $6 million a year, people might think, whoa, that's a lot of money for a guy who might not be RB1. I don't think so. I think it's a good deal for the Steelers, and I think it's a good deal for Jaylen Warren as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what they're paying him now, Ray. I mean, he's at 5.34. It's a little bit of a raise over that. I'm totally fine with that. I like for the Steelers the idea that they get some controlled costs over the next couple of drafts. I think that's important. It's $17.25 million, $11 million guaranteed. And you mentioned this, but I like the fact that Jaylen Warren can maybe be an RB1 type. I think that's the top end of this. That would be a great outcome. And even if he doesn't, even if Kaleb Johnson plays a lot, I think he would be great in a timeshare as well. So yeah, I don't have any problem with the deal. I didn't expect it. I thought their focus was elsewhere, but I mean, if you've got the opportunity to make your team better a couple years down the road, of course you should do it. I don't have any problem with that. My one question, though, Ray, and it's more pertaining to this year, how do we see them divvying up carries between Jaylen Warren, Kaleb Johnson, and Kenneth Gainwell? And I'll create this sort of fictitious scenario. Let's say they have 30 carries. I think with me right now, I'd probably say 20 go to Warren, 7 go to Kaleb Johnson, and 3 go to Kenneth Gainwell. Obviously, that's not hard and fast. It can be fungible. But how do you see that sort of breaking down?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Like if you do like the old pie graph thing, I think you might see Jaylen Warren like at 65, 70%. And Jason, like, I'm convinced now that they would not have practiced as much as they have with Kenneth Gainwell if they weren't going to use him. So for now, let's say that Jaylen Warren is 65%. I can see Gainwell at 15%. And then I could see Johnson maybe slightly ahead, like at 15, 20% to complete the graph there. So Kaleb Johnson is going to be RB1 at some point. That's why they drafted him. But I think it's going to be a while before he gets his foot in the door. He had an okay camp. The offensive line struggling a little bit. didn't help him. So I think it's going to be the Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell show early on until Kaleb Johnson gets his feet wet.
All right, great, Ray. I will go with the pie graph, but if you put me on an XY axis, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out
I got out of the math major business for a reason, my man.
That was some 40 years ago, and I've forgotten everything about that, Jason.
Good. Warren, by the way, it's a consensus line of 47.5 yards according to FanDuel. If you want to bet on that, minus 114 odds, meaning you bet 114 to win 100. I'd probably take the over on that. You can learn more at sportsbook.fanduel.com, especially in week one, Ray, as we're talking about 47.5. I think they're going to use them more.
They're going to feed him. Now, the only question is, does the offensive line block it up well? That could maybe skew that number a little bit. But I think the touches are going to be there for Jaylen Warren in week one to get that. If he could average 3 yards a carry, I think that's going to go over.
Yep, no doubt. All right, there's a lot to prove on Saturday. Steelers, Jets, again, at MetLife Stadium. Ray and I will both be there. The quarterbacks, that's the big storyline, of course. Aaron Rodgers playing his former team. Justin Fields playing his former team. A question that was rolling around in my head, Ray, which quarterback has more to prove? Justin Fields, I think, maybe thought he would be coming back here. He didn't. I understand why. Aaron Rodgers kind of unceremoniously dumped by Aaron Glenn and the Jets this offseason, although you can sort of understand why. In your opinion, who has more to prove in this one?
I think they both have a lot
to prove. Come on.
Come
on, Pomp.
If you're going to make me choose, Jason, I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers. He's going to play it down this week, but if you remember, he told the Pat McAfee show, and he kind of made a big deal out of this, that the Jets and Aaron Glenn made him fly across the country to have a 15-minute meeting with him. And the way Rodgers described it, it was awkward. Like Aaron Glenn got up out of his chair, went and got the GM. I mean, it sounded like it was a complete you-know-what show. So I think he's going to have something to prove. Justin Fields, of course he does. I mean, he's coming back to the team that benched him at midseason. You could certainly make an argument he has more to prove, but I'll go with Rodgers having that big chip on his shoulder for week one.
I kind of want to make an argument for Fields because I do think he kind of had a chip on his shoulder and felt like he should have been given another opportunity. I don't disagree with them either. I'm still surprised they didn't go back to Fields late in the season, but I ultimately would side with you on Rodgers. I think he has something to prove that he still has it in the tank. I think he wants to walk away from the game on his terms, personally. I think he wants to enjoy this. I think he wants to show he can play a little bit, but still ride off into the sunset. Obviously, he wasn't happy with how things ended with the Jets, but I think Rodgers has more to prove. I think he's more motivated. I didn't understand that. I saw what you were talking about, too, on the McAfee show. Why would you make a guy fly across the country basically to fire him in a 15-minute meeting? Man, just send an email. Do it via text, a conference call, something. Like, you waste the guy's time. It's even more insulting. And I don't think Rodgers is the kind of quarterback that he showed over his couple of years with the Jets. I think he's better than that. Do you?
Yeah, I do too. Obviously, 2023 was, a couple of snaps long before the Achilles got him. So you take that one out of the equation. And then last year, Jason, he wasn't good early. Anyone who saw him play at Acrisure, that was probably his worst game of the season or one of his worst. But if you look at what he did on the back half of that schedule, listen, the Jets weren't good, but the Jets had a lot of turmoil. In-season coaching change. Obviously, they didn't go with their interim coach in the long run. So when you have that kind of stuff happen to a football team, everything around you is going to be a little bit off kilter. So the offense under Rodgers wasn't great, but I thought he played pretty well down the stretch there. So, I think Rodgers definitely has something left, and I think he's going to be out to prove that Sunday afternoon at MetLife. A lot of pressure from both guys. I mean, listen, Aaron Rodgers knows how to handle it. Justin Fields played at a major college. He's been a starter in the NFL. He's going to learn how to handle it or know how to handle it. But there's a lot of pressure on both guys, I think, Jason, just because this is such a unique circumstance. I mean, I wrote about this for the Post-Gazette on Monday. This type of stuff doesn't happen very often where quarterbacks switch teams and then they end up playing each other. So it's a little bit of an added storyline, a little bit of more drama added to this football game.
I love it. You compared it to Kurt Warner, right? That's the last kind of time where this occurred. You have a Hall of Fame quarterback playing his former team.
Yeah, I mean, I narrowed my research down to Hall of Fame quarterbacks because it would have been hard to do it for every run-of-the-mill quarterback. But yeah,
Right.
Kurt Warner played for the Giants for one season after he left the Rams. He was kind of like the bridge guy. He was kind of like the Justin Fields, Russell Wilson from last year. He was the bridge guy when Eli Manning was a rookie. Eli supplanted him midway through that season, and then he signed with the Arizona Cardinals. And the Giants and the Cardinals played in the 2005 season opener after his one season there. So yeah, it's interesting to look back on history. And there's a few other matchups where there were trades back in the day, but yeah, 20 years, 2 decades since we've had this happen.
Man, I feel so old that it's been 20 years since Kurt Warner, but that's a separate topic altogether. We're just getting started on the North Shore Drive podcast. Please stay with us. Want to talk a little bit about the defense, quarterbacks in the 2026 NFL draft. It was an interesting weekend for those guys in college football, as well as some Steelers superlatives. Quick break and then back with more on the North Shore Drive podcast Tuesday edition. All right, welcome back. Jason Mackey alongside Ray Fittipaldo. We'll get to all that other stuff shortly. First, though, I have a message from ZipRecruiter. Are you having trouble finding the right people to hire? Tired of sorting through endless resumes? Well, the future of hiring looks much brighter because ZipRecruiter's latest tools and features help speed up finding the right people for your roles. So you save valuable time, and now you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/audio. With ZipRecruiter's new advances, you can easily find and connect with qualified candidates in minutes. See a candidate you're really interested in? You can unlock their contact info instantly. Use ZipRecruiter and save time hiring. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And if you go to ziprecruiter.com/audio right now, you can try it for free. Again, that's ziprecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Also appreciate Goldberg, Persky, and White, another of the show's sponsors. Thank you so much to those folks. If you were diagnosed with mesothelioma or lung cancer, call your local attorneys at Goldberg, Persky, and White. For over 40 years, their firm has represented thousands of lung cancer and mesothelioma victims. Call 1-800-COMPLEX or visit gpwlaw.com for a free consultation. All right, Ray, so I wrote about the defense for today, but in the lane of Mike Tomlin, some of the stuff that he said over the years, unleash hell in December in 2017, promising some big things, and then they stub their toe against the Patriots, lose to the Jaguars. This year, he says the defense is going to be historic. I want to pose the question to you this way. Do you see this defense being more historic or more kind of disastrous or a concern? Maybe the truth is in the middle. The truth is probably in the middle. What do you think?
Yeah, you're right. It probably is. Just looking back, he said that to WDVE, the Steelers radio partner, when they came up to camp, and he later explained that he wanted to set high expectations for this defense because he believes in it. So I guess, Jason, we should take him at his word. I think he's going to be the one who has the target on his back if this doesn't work out. So, you go out and I looked it up today, Jason. They got 4 starters who are over 30 years old.
Wow.
Okay? You got Cam Hayward, you got TJ Watt, you got Jalen Ramsey, and you got Darius Slay. Juan Thornhill's going to turn 30 in October, I think. So you're going to have basically half your defense is going to be 30 years old or older. You could see how that maybe could not work out if there's injuries. You never know when some of these guys age is going to catch up to them. The only saving grace, like if that happens at a position or two, the only saving grace is they've done pretty well in the draft the last 2 years, Jason. Peyton Wilson is going to be a player, I think. I think he's going to add a lot of juice to the defense. And I think 2 guys from this year's class, I think Y.A. Black and Derek Harmon, once he gets healthy, are also going to add a lot of juice. So, you got this one scenario where they look like they're really old, and they are. Then you got this other thing coming on where these guys are coming up through the ranks, and it might be time for those guys to be the stars. And you never know how it's going to work out. You go into the season thinking Cam Hayward is going to be an all-pro again. Listen, maybe that does happen, but maybe Peyton Wilson takes that step and he becomes a Pro Bowl player too. So they do have some reinforcements coming. It's an aging defense, but I think they've done pretty well in the draft the last couple of years to support those guys.
Man, it's really strange, and that's consistent with our other pro teams, by the way. Like, if you look at the Pirates, they're either really old or really young. If you look at the Penguins, they're either really old or really young. And the Steelers are kind of the same way. They're either really old or really young. There aren't a lot of guys like in Patrick Queen's situation where he's just kind of in the middle. But either way, I think the defensive line is a huge part of this, Ray. I think Derek Harmon, Y.A. Black, like you're saying, I mean, it's non-negotiable for those guys to take big steps. The Steelers drafted them for a reason. I think it's easy to forget, or maybe it's not if you have your noses in it like we do, how bad that defensive line was and how much they got pushed around down the stretch. And then the other question I have is just about the communication issues on the back end. It seems like if you read between the lines, some of those got lumped on Minkah Fitzpatrick. We'll find out for sure. You have three guys that really didn't play much together in the preseason. How do they fit in the regular season?
You know, in some ways, the Steelers will have a little bit of an excuse because Jalen Ramsey didn't come on board until late June. So, you know, you could say, well, they're still working on things, but those guys have been together for all of training camp. Now, they didn't play a lot in the preseason, so, Jason, it's not going to be perfect, but you got to be better than you were late last season. There was a lot of, you know, not outright pointing fingers, but there was a lot of insinuation by some players on that defense about what was going on there. So, yeah, maybe Minkah being gone, maybe that's all that had to happen, but we'll see. The proof will be in the pudding. It's time to put up or shut up for this defense because you have star power, right? You have all pros and former all pros all over that defense. And like I just said, you got some young guys are on the come. So the expectations are this is going to be like a top 5, top 3 type of defense. And I think if they want to contend, Jason, it pretty much has to be.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, different topic of conversation here, Ray. Over the weekend, it was week 1 in college football. Some teams obviously played week 0 games, but over the weekend, everybody was in action. For Steelers fans, that means a bunch of quarterbacks the team could draft in 2026 right here in Pittsburgh. I think it adds a pretty cool dynamic to following college football. Not that we needed any help, but there was a handful of guys who played well. There were a couple that didn't. I want to run through a few of them and see who caught your attention, Ray. I really liked Lenora Sellers in South Carolina. Had a big game. I could see him fitting really well with the Steelers if he falls to them. Drew Allar at Penn State didn't really have a tough test in Nevada, but he passed what was put in front of him. Cade Klubnik with Clemson, not very good. Garrett Nussmeier at LSU, he was okay. John Mateer has kind of put himself on the radar, I think, nearly 400 passing yards for Oklahoma. He's a transfer there. And Arch Manning, not too good for Texas in a loss to Ohio State. Who kind of registered with you?
I mean, I like what Sellers did. I mean, they were playing another quality opponent. You know, in the one play, he just shrugged 2 guys off his shoulders and towed the sidelines and ran about 15 yards for a first down. And then I thought the deep ball late in the game, I think it was midway through the 4th. I think they had a score lead. And he just throws a beautiful ball to the receiver who was wide open behind the defense. So he throws a nice ball as well. In addition to all the physical traits, you know, being able to run and being a strong guy, he could throw the football too. So I really like Sellers. It's also important, Jason, to point out it's week 1. You know, before that game, Arch Manning was up here, Sellers was here. Now it's the opposite.
Yeah,
it's really not that way. People are going to have Sellers here now, and Manning's going to be down a little bit. Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
Talk to me after 12 weeks, 16 weeks, whatever the playoff ends up being, and we'll be able to tell by then. But it is fun to talk about. For 1 week, Sellers looks really, really good. We'll see if he can keep it up the rest of the season.
He did. And I'm not punting on Drew Allar. I think Drew Allar can be really good. I talked about it on the Fan on Monday morning. I was hosting, and their wide receivers now and what Penn State has become. Drew Allar has some weapons. I think that can be a really dynamic offense. Again, maybe he doesn't make it to where the Steelers draft. I think that's entirely possible, but just somebody I'm going to be following. And yeah, I don't think Arch Manning is as bad as he showed. I think we're just going to need a little bit of context there. Ohio State's probably really good. I think we're lumping a crazy amount of expectations on Arch. All right, Ray, I want to finish up with some superlative type talk briefly. But I'm gonna present it to you this way. Things will work out for the Steelers if, and things will not work out for the Steelers if. Complete those sentences for me.
Things will work out for the Steelers if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, I don't want to say for 17 games, Jason, but if he could stay upright and if he could play and start 15 games, I think the Steelers will be in the playoffs. Things will not work out for the Steelers if the defense crashes and burns at the end of the season again. Now, I have no reason to believe that's going to happen again, but I go back to last December, Jason. Things were pretty rosy after that Bengals game on December 1st. Looked like they might have a shot at a 1 or a 2 seed, and then the bottom fell out of the defense. So
yeah,
they're going to have to prove it to me. So for me, Rodgers' health, and then what does the defense look like? Not only week 1 against the Jets, what does it look like in December and January? That's going to tell the tale for the Steelers season, I think.
I'd probably go with Aaron Rodgers for the first one. It'll work out if Aaron Rodgers is good. Maybe I will go that they have a strategy that the rest of us maybe don't see or don't appreciate as much. You know, I've been hard on them for a wide receiver too. And if they're going to use Jonnu Smith in a way that they could, if Pat Freiermuth is going to be a bigger part of this offense, if they're able to run the ball effectively and do some things that we really haven't seen in the preseason, I think they can be very good. And I'll stay on offense for the it'll come apart if Broderick Jones doesn't pan out at left tackle. I think that's a problem with the number of pass rushers they'll see if Troy Fautanu's not good on the right side. If you've got a 41-year-old quarterback and you can't protect them, I know that's kind of what you're saying, but I think that's going to make for a long, frustrating season.
No, that's a good one. I have full faith in Fautanu if he stays healthy. Jones is a question mark. He had a good preseason, but that's definitely a good one.
All right, that does it for us this week. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can get all of this content and so much more from our Post-Gazette North Shore Drive podcast and YouTube channels. I'll be back with Ray next Tuesday. Thanks for watching, everybody. Talk to you then and enjoy the season opener.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.